now after listening to it for so long. Hey guys, Abe Ovadia here. I am with my friend, attorney Beatriz with the Florida Accident Attorney, and we're really excited to have her here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Cool. Thank you. So we've got some cool stuff to ask today. I know you drove like 1,000,000 miles from Miami to come up here. Through the treacherous I-95. You guys still got it. Oof, that's brutal.
And we made it, yeah.
And you made it alive too. And you made it alive. So thank you. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah,
so excited. Cool. So wanted to talk to you, meet you, of course. Somebody sitting over there has said really nice things about you. So just, like, where did you go to law school? Was there anything in particular that made you want to be a lawyer? And if you could just tell me, like, where you grew up, where you're originally from.
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Miami. My parents are Cuban. And so I remember being in college. I did Miami-Dade honors program. And I remember being like, okay, I like writing, but like, what's that going to give me? And so my friend was working at a commissioner for a commissioner at the time, and I thought, and he said, I need some interns, and I was like, okay, sure. So I started interning for them, and everyone in the room was an attorney.
Oh.
So, and nobody was practicing law at that time, but it was like, okay, so I quickly kind of learned one of the easy ways to make an impact, or not easy, one of the ways to make an impact was by being an attorney. So that's kind of the spirit I came into it. I went to FSU.
Sorry.
Yes.
I'm an FIU guy.
Yeah. At the time that I went, let's say this, I went to the top school in Florida. I'll say it with that.
FSU is a good school. I just love my alma mater, but yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible, actually. I loved it. So some people don't like living in Tallahassee. I enjoyed it. It gets really cold there, so it doesn't feel like you're in Florida. Yeah. It snowed there twice since I've left, but it didn't snow while I was there.
Let me rephrase. When I heard Miami-Dade, I was like, all right, she went to FIU or something like that, and then I heard FSU. Totally threw me off. I was like, oh.
Yeah. So I was actually between UF and FSU. FSU was higher ranked at the time. I quickly found out as soon as I got into FSU and started going, they interchange every year.
Oh,
like 1 year it'll be FSU is number one, next year's UF. So I was like, I made this decision off something that was actually tangential. But
I was going to say it's political, but when I went to FIU, it wasn't even really ranked. So that's a plus.
Yeah.
People are like, hey, FIU's a good school. I'm like, is it? When I went
there, it is now, that's for sure.
I had to go to the Green Library, which is the undergrad library. We didn't even have a law school building
your own
the
library
first
now,
semester. Yeah. It's a great building. They did an awesome job.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten a lot more press and a lot of, with their bar passage rates are just incredible.
Yeah.
Cool. That was smart marketing on their part. But yeah, so I went to FSU. And then after that, we kind of so I met my husband at FSU. He's a lawyer as well. We started dwindling our way down. We were in Orlando for a few years, and then we ultimately came down here. And that's where I started.
Cool. Were you hanging out with political crowds because you said you were working with a politician? Is that how you kind of got into thinking about law school?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I even at the time thought, okay, to be like a legislative aide would be something up my alley, something like that. I don't think that way anymore, but at the time it was really something interesting. And I really liked my experience working there because I felt like there was so many things you didn't think about, like budgeting and all these sort of things, like the cost of roundabouts and making, little things like that. I really enjoyed the impact that I was making as a 20-year-old.
Cool. That's cool. Somebody's thinking about budgets, because if you talk about New York City right now, they're like, budget? What the hell is that?
We don't like those.
Ask for more money, raise taxes. Let's do this.
I love that.
Crazy. So I'm glad that somewhere in Florida people talk about budgets.
At one point in time, cool.
Yeah. So cool. Very cool. Yeah, it's funny. I got a place in Tallahassee last year because I told my wife, I said, babe, I'm going to go up to Tallahassee when the legislative session opens. I want to get more involved in politics. In March 2023, they passed this law that was really terrible for Floridians, for personal injury lawyers, of course, but for the people that we represent. And it was terrible. And I was like, I want to be more involved, more aware of what's going on. And so I said, let me go. And I've been there twice. It's so far getting to Tallahassee by airplane sucks.
Yes.
I have to drive down to Miami, then fly to Tallahassee.
Yeah.
And it's driving to Miami is a nightmare sometimes. Yeah. So
it's like a 9-hour drive once you factor in the stops and all those things. And then the flights get really expensive because it's legislative session. So some people don't have budgets, or they don't they're not restricted by that. Yeah. So then it's quickly a $600 flight for 45 minutes.
Yeah, like less than a 1 hour flight.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not so much that too. The flight times suck. There's one plane that goes back and forth.
Yeah, it's a propeller,
and there's one nonstop flight from Miami to Tallahassee. It's like, can you guys fix that? Like, who? And why is it still in Tallahassee? Like our seat, our capital.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Like, still to this day, I understand when they were creating Florida, but not anymore. We've
gone way far south. We've gone to the Keys.
They should relocate it to Orlando or something.
Yeah, it'd be so much more convenient. And but anyways, that's my thing. Do you want to get into politics, or you're over it? Do you want to be a politician
not
one
right
day?
Now.
Okay.
No, not right now.
I don't want to be a politician. I used to want to get into politics, and I see what's going on. They're all corrupt. Yeah. They all take bribes, kickbacks. They all have this crazy agenda now. Yeah. And I'm just thinking to myself, I don't want to do that at all. I don't want to be involved with that.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
I had a friend who was a lobbyist, and he was telling me, like, even you can have the most amazing testimony behind, like, let's say you want to pass a bill. You have all these people supporting you. It makes perfect sense. Everyone's on board. But then, they already made some handshake agreements about you. Okay, I'll vote for your bill. You vote for mine. That sort of stuff. And it really,
turned you off.
Yeah. I mean, I get that it's the current reality we live in, but I don't want to be a part of that.
So weird. Do you know the Tallahassee handshake?
No.
It's they don't actually shake hands like this. They're just like, hey, can you put some money in my hand? It's crazy. Like, it's crazy. That's how they greet each other.
I'm going to start approaching people that way.
Yes. It's well known in Tallahassee. It's like, hey, how are you? And then this is what they do. You just got to pay them money.
I never saw that.
Oh, are you kidding me?
I was in the wrong circles.
Because you went when the session started.
Yeah.
So I went before the session started, and apparently when the session starts, there's no money exchanged. You can't contribute to anyone's campaign for that 60-day window. And so I went up the day before, not realizing, and I went to my lobbyist office. We hired a lobbyist to help save PIP, and I paid this guy a ton of money. And that day, he had 30 different politicians meet with me in his office. And I was like, wow.
Is that how they all approached you?
They all approached the office, and I'm thinking to myself, how in the hell, the day before the session starts, did this man get all of these politicians, senators, representatives, to come into his office to meet me?
Right.
And I realized that there's like an envelope holder by the door in between the front door and where the room that I was sitting in.
Right.
And so on their way in, they'd come in, say hello, meet with me. I'd tell them why PIP is important, why it helps Floridians. And then on their way out, they would go to the envelope stop and just pull out all their 10, 15 envelopes from all of the different lobbyists, the clients for that lobbyist. Coca-Cola left them a check. Pepsi-Cola left them a check. All these, cattle farm ranchers. So I was like, oh my God, they spent time with me. I'm like, damn, these guys spent 20 minutes with me.
Yeah, look at this guy.
I was like, oh my gosh, this lobbyist is the best. And it turns out he was, because he got me 30 meetings. I mean, I was there for 6 hours.
Yeah.
And he got me 30 meetings with people. I was like, oh my gosh, he threw a lunch. If you thought Florida politicians are important people, when you offer a free Panera lunch, these people show up.
They're like college kids.
They were just like, oh my God, you got me Panera mac and cheese? Like, what? I'm like, dude, you're deciding the future of our state? This is disgusting.
Yeah.
It was weird. And then some of they eat like children. Like, one of them had food all over his face. I'm like, I'm talking to him about PIP, and the more I'm talking, the more food just keeps ending up. I'm like, that's disgusting. How do you make decisions? It's so weird. But anyways, that's enough about me. We're here to talk about you. Oh my gosh. So that's my Tallahassee experience in a nutshell. So yeah, I want nothing to do with politics. It actually creeps me out. So you are an attorney for 9 years now.
Yeah.
You went to FSU, which at the time was apparently the best law school to go to.
That 1 year that I went.
Those rankings are all like crazy political.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think they do money exchanges or anything like that, but it's definitely it's not grounded in any type of reality. And when I went to law school, my school wasn't even ranked. So,
well, actually, one of the things they look at, I don't know the other ones, but one of the things they look at is bar passage rate. So I feel like that's why FIU was like, okay, I know that we can, because it's like bar passage rate. I know they look at alum donations or contributions. I don't know how they categorize that.
Yeah.
And I forgot what the other one is, but they were like, we can do that.
They look at your library size. They look at, do you have the latest books, which everything's digital now. They look at...
That's why our professors made us buy the most recent version of the same
probably,
book. Yeah,
probably.
Okay.
They look at jobs, like within the first couple months after the bar, jobs. And I heard from one of the law school deans, I won't say who, one of the law school deans told me that there's a university here in Florida that hires their really dumb, shitty students that can't get employed anywhere. They'll hire them.
Oh, I've heard of that school.
So that they'll hire them
around here. I'm not sure.
They'll hire them so that they can rank higher, because if they're unemployed, then And I think it's something
That's
like
insane.
you were talking about bar passage. So there was a law school telling people, don't sit for the bar this semester. Like, we can't have you sit because you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
Something crazy like that. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So those are like political rankings. But at the end of the day, you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We got a law license.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely. And I actually think like I wouldn't take it back because I loved my experience, but I think being in the town that you are going to practice in is more beneficial, because I'm going to happy hours. I'm going to people with Tallahassee. So I could have gotten a job easily, or not easily, but much easier in Tallahassee than in a city that I'm not visiting.
Yeah.
So I think that helps a lot more than people realize.
Definitely. We have someone who worked here. She's in FIU law right now. And I told her, you need a network. If you're just going to school and studying and getting good grades, it doesn't matter. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
And if you don't get out and network and meet people, your job opportunities are that much smaller. So
Absolutely.
I encourage her to go out. But she's in her first year, and I don't think she's terrified.
Drowning. Yeah.
She's like, I need to pass. I need to get good grades.
It's the hardest year, I think.
Yeah, definitely, mentally, for sure.
Yeah.
So tell me, you got into personal injury law. How did that all develop? Like,
so I graduated law school and I went to homeowners insurance. So I did that for years. And that's actually where I got the bulk of my litigation experience, where I got my trial experience. I was working on plaintiff side but then it got a little, the scene, I guess I would say, of homeowners insurance was changing. This was before the laws changed.
Where they took away attorney's fees.
Yes, correct. So I enjoyed my time there. I was helping a lot of clients. I remember this one guy, he sent me a picture of his roof after Hurricane Ian, or maybe Hurricane Irma. And I could see the sky. And he had a denied claim.
The insurance companies are so wicked.
Yeah. Like, are you kidding? So, and it was just such a joke of a case, really. But anyway,
for the insurance company.
Yeah. Like, what did you deny? Like, how could you say that with a straight face? This poor guy, like, literally has a piece of plywood on his roof to hold his house up. But anyway, so then, and people don't realize I learned a lot about building a home, a roof, mold, all those sorts of things. And so, like, people, adjusters will say, okay, fine, I'll give you a new roof. And you're like, okay, what about the rest that's been sitting in there exposed, all these mold spores, it's so much more than just the new roof now. And they don't, they think people are being greedy, but it's like, the reality is, why would you want to live on walls that have been rained on, or live inside that? And definitely mold has grown and it affecting your life, your childhood. So anyway, so I did that for, I want to say 5 years. And then I knew I wanted to make a transition. The legal market of homeowners insurance, if you've done homeowners insurance, it was exhausting. It was really burning out, because 2020 hits, we're able to work remotely. So now we're having 5 hearings a day, 4 depositions a day, and you're just extremely burnt out in that particular industry, because that was the bulk. And even judges, I felt like, were honestly over homeowners insurance. I still think they are.
You can tell by the rulings that come out against homeowners and pro insurances. They're like, don't bring any more claims.
Yeah, and you would sit at a hearing, and it was like, there's 40 people there, every single so-and-so versus Citizens, so-and-so versus Universal. So you could tell that it was a saturated market for sure. And so I knew I wanted to try something different. And so I started working in personal injury, particularly premises, slip and falls is where I started. And I really liked it. I had a great mentor, and she was very knowledgeable and knew not just a lot about the law. She was very interested in that, but she knew a lot about the human body and the ways that the mechanics of a slip and fall. So it was interesting in many forms for me, because it was like I was learning about my knee and my hip. And I remember I had this one client, he had a hip issue, and it was how should I phrase this? It was affecting his marriage, and it was and he was incontinent, all these things, and then he had a hip surgery, and it went away. So it was like, whoa, this really, like, it's not just, yes, he slipped and fell at a supermarket, but it's really affecting him in different ways. So I fell in love with it. I really enjoyed it. And I really, so I've been doing that since then. And then I opened up the Florida accident attorney. Finally went out on my own.
I got a funny story. I had these two clients, Dominicans, and the wife was a supermodel.
Okay.
I don't understand what she was doing with the guy. He seemed like a nice guy, but just from looks alone, I go, this guy can't keep up with this girl.
He had a great personality.
Yeah, he had a great personality. And she called me one day and was like, I need to have a meeting with you. And so she comes in, and basically what happened was the guy had an injection. And when you get an epidural injection, it's there's a steroid in there, anti-inflammatory, and it can affect you if you are diabetic and have high blood pressure, and it's not controlled. It can affect you, and it affected his libido. And she accused him of cheating on her. She's like, no, he's not interested in me. He's cheating on me. He's got another girl, this and that. And I'm like, I had to explain to her that this is common, and it goes away after like a couple months, but it's, and she came in here, and it was the most awkward, uncomfortable meeting for me, because I'm awkward sometimes, like I'm uncomfortable sometimes, and I'm thinking,
but why did she tell you this? Like,
she thought he was cheating, and he said, you got to talk to my lawyer because he told me this is normal. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, do I need to get a note from the doctor? You should be going to the doctor, bro. Like, why are you bringing me in this? But they liked me and trusted me, and I was doing their case.
You saved their marriage.
I saved his marriage. I saved his marriage and his life, because I think she was going to kill him. I was like, those Dominican women don't play, man. She was ready to cut him. So, I did. You're right. I saved a life and a marriage. That's great. I am a hero. I'm a hero. But people don't realize that these accidents do have big impacts on people's lives, and it's uncomfortable for clients to talk about those things,
absolutely.
and a lot of people don't bring it up, but that's really interesting. So premises liability, slip and falls, any big cases, any impactful cases that you've had? Yeah,
we had this trucking, actually. I did a lot of the trucking cases we had there, just because they, obviously require a lot more attention. The injuries are worse. And I remember we had this man, he died on scene, and it seemed at first glance that it was his fault. He was behind the truck. Perfectly normal, stuff like that always sits with you, but nothing, it just seemed like a rear end gone wrong. And so then we went back. We really kept looking, because he was a good person. We were working with his fiance. They were good people, so we were like digging for anything. And then we finally get the records back from the truck, from the black box. And long story short, the truck had cut him off, but like severely. Like he was going 80, and then all of a sudden went down to 15. Like this guy caused the accident, but we would never realize that. So cases like that, it kind of reminds you. I always say that it sounds corny, but it reminds you why you're in this. You really are here to help people, and I think a lot of people lose sight of that. But cases like that remind you, like, okay, and obviously, there's only so much you can do in these wrongful death cases. At the end of the day, no amount of money is really going to bring them back, but to be able to know, I know something's wrong, there's something off here, and find that, it's just like, needle in a haystack type of cases. Super rewarding for us and for his family. A lot of people don't realize, some people have a negative connotation of personal injury lawyers, and they don't realize that that's who you need when something bad happens to you or your family. And it's not just, oh, wow, a massive payout. It's like, that's money for that guy's family. He probably had kids that he left behind. They shouldn't have to suffer because the father died through the fault of some big trucking company. Right. And,
So it is rewarding in that sense. It sucks with all the bad lawyer jokes that we have to hear.
Yeah.
But that is cool.
You see some billboards and they say, "Oh, I got 800,000," and why am I not getting that? I'm like, you didn't see the bottom half of his body. Maybe he's missing something.
That's exactly what I said.
He doesn't have a leg. It's not in the picture.
Yeah. Those cases. I mean, they do come up every now and then, but the majority of cases are under $100,000, and the biggest part of that is people don't have insurance in Florida, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. We ran some statistics, and we had 20% of all of our cases were dropped. We had to tell the client, "Hey, we can't help you. No BI, no UM," and it's probably higher just no BI cases because if somebody has UM, I don't have a way to track that data.
Yeah.
But it's 20%, and then a majority of the cases are like 1020 policies in Florida.
Yeah. And
so weird. I had some lawyer from another state talk about, I want to come down to Florida and open up shop and this and that. I go,
okay.
I go, brother, there's a lot of 1020s out here. He's like, what's a 1020? And I'm like, well, do you guys have a 2550? He goes, yeah. I'm like, all right, well, we have a 1020. Yeah. And it's not mandatory. And he's like, what? And I said, you want to come down here? Come down here. It's like,
And I feel like there's always a bill proposed, and it's so quickly shot down. I think they proposed a few months ago to do 2550. And then I never heard from it again.
Yeah. So there's every year they want to get rid of PIP and replace it with mandatory BI 2550 policies. And every year it gets shot down. DeSantis said he's not doing it. He has some weird beef with John Morgan. Like a weird beef. Literally on Twitter, they're going back and forth.
It's so
on
weird.
Twitter, yeah. So weird. They have a weird beef.
Power.
I think John Morgan supported Andrew Gillum, who was originally running against DeSantis, and it was a close race.
Yes.
And so they got a beef. And he hates John Morgan, imagine you hate John Morgan, and everywhere you go, you see his face on a billboard on the road, like on your Instagram
You should do a campaign
feed.
For him. Like, hey, DeSantis, how are you?
Yeah.
He already does some pretty crazy stuff.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. So very, very interesting. So, like, where is your practice at? What type of cases do you handle? And what's your reach? Like, what statewide?
Yeah. So I'm from Miami. My office is located in Kendall area. But since
that's where I was born.
That's it.
That's where I was born, is in Kendall Regional.
And then that's how you left.
Yeah. And then I left. Yeah.
Now it's HCA.
I saw it used to be. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have this sign out, and I actually wonder, since HCA is national, it says best hospital in the state, and I'm like, you couldn't even say Florida. Do you put this everywhere you go? Like, you have like it's just one banner you print out for all your states.
That's so funny.
But yeah, but I do travel, especially as I'm smaller. I like visiting clients as soon as I sign them up. So if that means Fort Myers, if that means Orlando, I rather go meet them in person. It helps a lot with my case. So I would say up to the Ocala area is usually. But I mean, I can take a case anywhere in Florida, really.
Yeah. We used to get cases in the Panhandle, but it's so hard for people in an accident to treat up there. Doctors in the Panhandle, they don't want to treat auto accident people. It's very weird. There's not a lot of doctors. It's more rural.
Yeah.
So it's really hard.
The Panhandle can be very good old boy mentality, I think. And
that too. Yeah. They go, oh, you one of those Miami attorneys? I go, well, I'm in Boca Raton. We do have an office in Miami, but I'm in Boca Raton. They're like, that's Miami. I'm like, that's an hour away, but sure.
Yeah.
Cool. And so what practice areas do you handle?
So right now I'm doing motor vehicle accidents. I have lots of experience doing premise liability as well. Meaning slip and falls, trucking cases, fender benders, that sort of area is my niche. It's what I have experience in, and it's what I think I can provide the client with the best result with.
Gotcha. So let me ask, I had a phone call with a guy yesterday, and he was telling me, Abe, if I get an offer that's not policy limits, I just file suit. And I said, really? And I go, do you get better settlement? Do you get more tenders now than you used to get? And he's like, it just started. What are your thoughts on that? I was like, shocked.
I think I'm gonna be really candid here.
It's a lot of work.
So I think it depends on the carrier, right? So I think for example, one particular carrier, they have made it a policy that they do not tender anymore on 1020s and 2550s. The moment we have sued, because I can't tell you, probably in the last year, I don't know, maybe 100 cases, that the moment we sue, We send them a copy of the complaint, and we send them the case number if the summons hasn't been issued, whatever the case, and they tender.
Is that progressive?
Yes. So
they're such scumbags. They do that too.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is that they're testing out who is willing to litigate and who is not, and they must have done some analysis that it's better to risk this and see. But their offers are always like $3,540, and you're like, okay, the bills are $25,000. What do you want me to do with that? Yeah. But the moment we sue, we send them a copy. It doesn't even go to an attorney.
Oh.
They just tender. So we've been doing that on a lot of the cases, and I don't understand why. But they'll call me very quickly. It's the same adjuster, and they're just like, okay, I have the 10.
So
like,
weird.
Why do you make me do this?
I got a crazy story for you. United Auto tendered a policy with me just last month.
People don't understand how crazy that is.
And the initial offer was $1,500, and then we sued them, and they paid the $10,000. Now this is the freaky part. It was not a BI policy. It was a UM policy that they sold.
No.
They sold a UM policy. And I was like, what? I have seen everything now. Like,
I've been saying for years they don't even sell it.
They don't even sell it. This guy had a UM policy.
We have to find out who that guy is.
The client?
Yeah, no, is he president of United or something? Like, I didn't even know they sold UM.
Somebody got fired at United Auto for selling a UM policy. They're like, I could see the guys at Estrella right now, like, oye, brother, pero ¿qué te pasó? UM? ¿Qué cosa? Like, what?
Yeah. Aquí no.
They don't even know what UM is. Like, I mean, it's probably like the JUM, but like maybe, JUM.
Like $100 to like 1,000 in policy. That's why they don't sell it.
Oh, well, this guy bought it.
I've done fake quotes with them. That's how.
So they do offer UM.
What do you just prank call Univista and Estrella and La Rana and all that?
No. Well, yeah. So,
she's bored. She calls them. She's like, I want a quote.
I got a 2025.
And I was like, bro, there's no way they don't offer that. They do. It's just that what they do is that they'll be like, sí, es barato, the normal $100-something. Oh, but you want UM? Oh, you have to pay like $1,000-something.
Yeah.
Like,
I couldn't
insane.
believe it. Yeah. That's the second time I've gotten a UM tender. The other, a United Auto tender. The first one was 10 years ago. It was Maria Ferrer, Alejandra de la Rosa. She got a $10K BI tender, but it was the client had a surgery and there was $100K UM, and they were like, "Oh, damn, just pay." And that was the only other time I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" But I mean, it's shocking, totally shocking.
I really didn't even know that they sold.
I don't think they knew they sold it. Huh?
Did you get an attorney on the case, or was it just at the adjuster?
It was just the adjuster. And it's funny because United Auto on the PIP suits, we do a ton of PIP suits against United Auto, and they definitely, everything's a peer review, and they litigate those peer reviews. They have these lawyers litigate the peer review and fight it, and I'm just like, it's a peer review. You didn't even pay a doctor to see the patient in person. You're having them just look at medical records and cut off care. That's going to never hold up in court.
Yeah.
And they'll fight that. But a $10K UM policy, they tender. I was like, oh my gosh. But the initial offer, $1,500, $500, something like that.
I don't think they can offer you more.
Weird. Yeah, so weird.
That's interesting. Now I'm more intrigued. I don't like, United cases in general are always tough. But I don't think we've ever even, I'm trying to think of how many. Had like a
United BI policy?
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. Never.
It's rare. We... Like, a lot of law firms will see United PIP and United BI, and they'll be like, oh, their client, they're like, nah, just don't even, you're wasting your time.
Same thing with Ocean Harbor. I don't see them often. I don't think they sell UM either.
I've never seen them sell UM or BI. Never. I don't think they could adjust a BI claim.
Yeah.
I don't think they could adjust it. They're like, how do you adjust this? They're like, what do you do? I don't know.
Yeah, he looks pretty injured.
Yeah.
Too bad, though.
Craziness.
Yeah.
What's your nightmare litigation case that you had to handle? Any litigation case you had to handle where you were just like, this is the worst thing about litigation? Do you have something like that? Maybe like bad opposing counsel.
A couple come to mind. So two particularly, going back to the hip man.
The hitman. It's a different. It's not a hitman. It's a hitman. I love it.
His wife insisted we do a consortium claim. This is before we knew all about his hip issues.
Oh, okay.
Before they really started. And his wife insisted we do a consortium claim. Every time you talk to her, she ended up in tears. You could call her and be like, "Are you available next week?" And she'd end up crying. In the end, we had a great. She really was a good person. It was just it was tough.
Emotionally.
it seemed, I knew she was being sincere and she was just an over emotional person. But every time she was in a depot, anytime she did mediation, she just seemed so insincere. Like, how can someone cry that much? But she really did mean it, you know. I knew that, but it hurt the case in a way because it made it seem so insincere. Luckily, they were, you know, we were able to get a good result for them, but still, it was a tough case. And we had a good OC on that one. We had a good opposing counsel. He was willing to work with us. But one case where we actually tried it.
I want to go back to that. Sorry, before we go there.
Yeah.
When you say loss of consortium, you know, that's could be a lot of different things. Are you specifically talking about like the sexual aspect, or are you talking about just like the house helping around the house and stuff like that? Mostly about the sexual?
It was twofold because it was the sexual, but it also, you know, it took a while to get this out of her because she had a lot of shame around it. She had an autoimmune disease, so he was her caregiver, and now it flipped. So it took me hours of questioning her for her to say these things.
Yeah.
It's like, you should lead with that because it explains why you're so emotionally erratic, and it helps us understand this a lot better because she's just like, oh, he used to be this amazing person and now he's not anymore, and you're like, okay,
right. So you know, it's interesting because that case in particular, I've seen depot transcripts on cases like that, and they're really tough questions. And when you brought up the word shame, I think a lot of people don't want to bring up loss of consortium claims for that reason. It's like, okay, so before the accident, how many times a week were you having sex? What, you know, how often did you have sex? Like, you know, tell me about your favorite positions during sex that you can't do now. And people are like, this is too personal. It's very embarrassing for a man, a woman, anybody. And so you guys told her about this, and she said, we gotta discuss this. We gotta pursue this.
Yeah. I had to prep her for it if she was willing to go down that road. She was very sincere. She kept it professional.
Okay.
Even opposing counsel kept it, you know, it must be awkward to be in their position asking these questions, but you know, they got to be asked. I get it. So that was a tough case. It was my only really heavily litigated consortium case that I've hit so far, that I actually, you know, I really did believe in the consortium claim. And I think a lot of people initially, they hear that and they think, oh, that's just bogus. But in her case, I really, you know, if he was the one doing all the groceries, paying all the bills, and then you go from
and now
that
she's got to do all that.
Chores.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so that case was an interesting one for sure. I'll always remember them just because I felt like I had to talk to them like 3 or 4 times a week. Wow. Yeah. Oh, I will say this other one where it wasn't that opposing counsel was bad per se. It was just he was so canned. And so this was a homeowner's claim. We went to trial. It was a Hurricane Irma claim. They lived right by me. I knew these clients really well. And this guy came in the week before. And he must have been the citizen's trial attorney for this firm. Okay. And he came in and he didn't even talk about these clients because he didn't even know the case, right? Like, he just comes in, he's very like charismatic, but it didn't land. We're here, we know everything about their home. I've been to their house. I know the coroners they're talking about. And he was just like, they didn't report it in time, and you're like, you don't even remember their names, you know, like stuff like that. And I remember I respected him as a trial attorney, but it was hard to also respect him. Like, you don't even remember the client's names, you don't know anything about this case. You're going to go to a case tomorrow after you finish this one, right? So that was an interesting case that I'll always remember because it was so many trials at that point against these insurance carriers, especially Hurricane Irma claims. They were all piling up, so we knew we were going to hit them. But you know, the one I had worked with was second chair. She didn't talk throughout the whole trial. It was just this guy. Okay. So I always think about that case because he was a great attorney, but he wasn't given the skills, so he wasn't given time to review. He was just a kind of a robot in that
thrown
sense.
into different trials.
Yeah, that's all he does. You could tell.
Wow.
So he was a great attorney, but if you don't remember the client's name, like this hurricane, which one is this? You know, it doesn't land. It didn't land with the jury.
So those homeowner cases are tough too because at the end of the day, forgetting about trial, just a settlement, right? The whole time you are their lawyer, they have water pouring into their home if there's an active leak. Yeah. And people say, oh, put up a tarp, but tarps are not meant to last for months, and you need to send them back out, and you know, they need to go up on the roof and put a new tarp, and some roofs a tarp is not really going to work. Yeah. And it's just really stressful because for the whole time of your case, every time it rains, they call you. Your phone blows up. Yeah. And
sometimes they call you before, it's going to rain this weekend.
Like, any update on my case?
Yeah.
And it sucks because sometimes you can get them, let's say the roof is 30 grand, you can get them 30 grand, but what about the insides?
Yeah.
And the insurance companies are never like, hey, look, we'll give you the 30 grand to fix your roof while we negotiate the rest of the house. They rarely would do something like that.
Yeah.
And, nightmare story for you since you know homeowners. People's Trust started selling auto insurance after Hurricane Ian.
I didn't know that.
And People's Trust,
I haven't seen them, thank God.
In my opinion, is the biggest piece of shit. They make United Auto look like saints. That with People's Trust, they did the right to repair.
Yeah.
They're the only company is there other companies that do right to repair?
I've seen it in citizens policies, but it's a lot harder to invoke. People's Trust is one that they can invoke it at any point in time and it's controlling.
Yeah.
I've seen it in other ones, but like both parties have to agree, so it's a lot harder. But they're masters of the option to repair, giving horrible people, if they do it in time, not giving you adequate, like, you had a shingle or you have a clay roof before, clay tiles, and now they're going to give you, well, this is what we got. So
yeah, they're not masters of anything. It's the whole thing is a scam because when you go buy insurance, everybody assumes insurance is insurance. It's all uniform, right? And it's not.
No.
And nobody's ever told, listen, if you have a problem, you're going to have to, this company will always exercise their right to repair the home. And that sounds great. I don't have to do anything. These guys hire like people from the Home Depot and just say, hey guys, listen, let's all get in the truck today. Today we're going to go learn how to do a roof.
Yeah.
And they don't know what they're doing.
No, absolutely.
And they sent someone to fix a house from a fire claim that I had. And they started scrubbing the house with like sponges on the wall. And the guy has photos and I go, what? He's like, yeah, they just got a regular sponge and they just started scrubbing the wall. And I was like, that is so weird. And all they were doing was making circular patterns with the ash on the wall, just like rubbing it in circles. It's like, so weird. They tried cleaning the refrigerator. Smoke, got sucked into the refrigerator and it was all soot everywhere. And they were just scrubbing, like, he's like, I need a new fridge. Like, it's in the back of the thing and the motor and the head, like it. And I mean, it's just so bizarre.
Yeah,
that carrier is so and now they sell auto insurance. They don't sell BI. I don't think they sell BI. I've never seen BI or UM. But on PIP claims, they deny every PIP claim.
What are the basis?
They say everything's fraud. They'll walk into a clinic and they'll tell them there's fraud on this case. If you want to drop it right now, sign this paperwork. Otherwise, we're going to shut this. We're going to report this for fraud. And they're like, well, what fraud do you have? Can you tell, And they're just like, we can't get into it.
We're not going to give you a chance to
Just trust me on this.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
you're fraudulent.
I can't stand those
I haven't
people.
had any claims against them, thank God.
May God be
absolutely.
with you. That's crazy. Wow, you're so lucky. You're so lucky. I feel like all I get is people's trust cases. I'm like, why? It's like past karma in my life.
Yeah. What did you do to deserve that?
Oh my gosh. Worst opposing counsel.
I don't know if he's barred anymore.
That's a good clip. That's a good clip. I like that.
I'm trying to think of his name. I can remember.
Oh, don't say it. Don't say it.
Yeah. But he was notorious. He had been sanctioned many times.
Oh.
I'm trying to think of his name. I don't remember his name. And he was horrible. He would give you requests for productions, hundreds of requests for production, and he would never respond to your discovery. He would immediately file motions to compel, and just a horrible person. But I think he knew an adjuster at a large firm. That's the only thing I can think, at a large insurance company. So then he never got fired. But he was horrible. I know people who like had to take breaks from practicing because he would just come out and. It's going to drive me nuts that I can't remember his name, but he was horrible.
Wow.
I hope he's not well. Not doing well.
There's always that one or two opposing counsel defense guys that I cannot stand. I hope they like get hit by a bus. There's one or two. Like I love defense attorneys. 'Cause at the end of the day, right? They cut the check for the case. So I'm like, oh, you're a defense attorney? Super nice to meet you. I hope you're doing well. Can I send you like food one day to just let you know how appreciated you are? Because they write the check. They're talking to the insurance adjuster. Hey, this guy's a good guy. We should pay him something. But there's
Do you
always.
think they say that?
Oh yeah, they don't say that, but they don't say that, but they're definitely like, hey, you know, let's throw another $5,000 or something, and they'll help you get it done sometimes on a case.
Yeah.
But there's always one or two that just really irritate me. They get under your skin, and you're like, why? It's so frustrating. It's like those people that got bullied their whole life.
This is their time.
And this is their moment. Yeah. They're a defense attorney, and they're like, I am going to deny this good claim. It's a good claim. It's an honest claim. We should pay it. But I'm going to deny it because that's who I am. I hate those people. There's only a handful out there that I've had to deal with over the years. But, it's funny you mentioned that they must have been friends with somebody at an adjuster, because the best defense firms don't get all the work. It's like, well, you know, it's who you know. And there's some people out there, like there's this one defense lawyer who's a total cokehead. But guess what? There's adjusters who love to party.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
he gets all of their work. And he gets all of their work for decades now.
Yeah.
And the guy's just a cokehead. He's like, hey, you want to party? They're like, yeah, I'd love to party. I'm 50 years old. My wife and kids are like, you know, I want to live one night.
Yeah,
and then they go out on a bender and they get work for the next year. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I would say adjusters can be like that, a little bit like getting their revenge, and this is their time to feel like an attorney. I get that a lot.
Those adjusters, like they want to be an attorney. They tried to be an attorney, but they couldn't, so they worked at an insurance defense, like an insurance company as an adjuster. Yeah, I've dealt with that.
Yeah, and I feel bad for them sometimes because they'll give me a response, like, well, we did the Medicare schedule.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, you read that off your script. Now let me tell you why you're wrong. This client's 15 years old, whatever it is. And then they're kind of like, we'll talk back, because you know that they're just reading a script, and it's like, I hear your kid screaming in the background. Like, I'm not interested in, no disrespect to people working from home. I get it. But like, it's tough when, and I don't think it's their fault, but if you're not getting adequate training, you don't even know what you're talking about. You're like, oh, well, those were, that's because of his age. Well, he's 40 and he's never been in a prior accident. I'm not sure. Someone told you to say that it was degenerative, but degenerative doesn't even start then. So stuff like that, where I do think it helps that you understand when you're reading the MRI more than just the conclusions, but like actually understand the deviations. I remember I was in a deposition one time with this orthopedic surgeon, and he, defense counsel was basically trying to sort of undermine the results from the MRI, undermine the basis for the surgery. And he was like, oh, but it was just like a quarter inch, the herniation, it wasn't that big of a deal. And I remember the orthopedic surgeon was like, let's put this into perspective. If we're talking about an inch of a herniation, we're talking about a quadriplegic. So like you're saying like, it's just a little bit of room, but it's like, well, the spine is only so big, so let's like take this back. And they love using this like spaghetti analogy, that your spinal fluid and your spinal cords are just a bunch of spaghetti moving around there. And he's like, well, they're not just wiggling around there. They're kind of going to your arms and your legs and your different organs. So it's not so simple. So I do think about that they try to play it down and make it seem like it's no big deal. But I guess that's kind of their job, right?
That's their job, yeah. But sometimes they take it a little too far with just making everything difficult. Yeah. And it's like, can we just look at the simple over, like the big picture here? Like, look at this car. Right. The guy had a surgery. And they're like, well, he had a prior claim. And I'm like, okay, but can we talk about this claim? Have you ever had a claims adjuster call someone fat and use that as an excuse to maybe reduce the value of a claim, or like overweight, or maybe not that word?
They'll say that they'll bring up the eggshell issue a lot. Like, oh, that's why their knee hurts so much. It's because they're 300 pounds, not because they never had any prior knee issues until this point. I don't even address them, honestly. Like, I can't believe you said that. And I'm like, you can't expect like, what do you want me to say back? No, they're not overweight. Like, it doesn't matter. The point is that you were negligent. Let's go back to that. The point is they still have injuries they didn't have before. So I'm not sure why you bringing that up really matters. I had this one client. She went to the urgent care right after her accident, and she also had some other complaints. I'm trying to think of what specifically it was. She also had a history. It showed up there. Like, one time she got a condom stuck in her. Had nothing to do with the case. She also got x-rays that day. She had all these issues. That was like the adjuster's obsession. He was like, I know her proclivities and all these things. And I was like, have you seen the car? It's missing the front half.
Oh my gosh.
But he could not live it down. And it's like, it really has nothing to do with the case. Thank you for bringing it up. But like, nobody cares.
Yeah. It wasn't the same day, right?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like in her medical history chart that they mentioned it. But what a lot of times what I've been doing, and if the adjuster is a good adjuster, this will kind of lead to a quick tender, is when the car is like absolutely destroyed before the client even starts. I just send them like a quick 1-page demand. Hey, look at this car. Sometimes it's wrapped around a pole. It's wrapped around a gate. Really bad damages. It's a 1020 or 2550. Hey, I'm giving you a chance now before you have to review hundreds of pages of medical documents to give me the end result. I'm still gonna get the tender an hour later, and then they'll come back and they're like, "You're right, 2,500." And you're like, "Did you see the photos? Like, must have gotten translated. Like, I'm not sure what's going on there."
Yeah.
I remember for a while, one of the things that they were really pushing from other plaintiffs' firm was to provide like PowerPoints, because they think that adjusters are just running everything through AI. Which I do think there's an argument to be said for that they're not really reading them. The AI spits out like, this is the value of the claim.
Yeah.
And I think the idea behind the PowerPoints, I don't do them, but the idea behind the PowerPoints is you need to get them to really look at it. You need to sit them down and say, no, you need to look at it. And the reality is sometimes you can only do that when you have a lawyer on the other end, or a litigation adjuster. Things change.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been reading a lot about that, like trying to combat the idea of these adjusters just running everything through a system. They're not even really looking at it. I don't know if I would say that's true.
So I was going to mention DeSantis. For all of the things that he's done to the, I want to say rights of people that have been in a car accident, he proposed a bill to limit the use of AI in coming up with a number for the settlement value of a case.
Yeah.
And I thought that was it's part of his AI bill that he wants to pass, and it's insurance companies can't use AI to calculate a settlement offer. They can use AI to scan mail or do whatever, but not to come up with a price for a human life or injuries, which I was pretty shocked, because I was like, okay, interesting.
But what if they do?
It would prohibit them from doing it. So I don't know if there's a punishment. You're right. I don't know what the punishment would be. Maybe it'd be bad faith. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But they've been kind of using AI for years already, because they've been just basically taking data and dumping it into the computer and then saying, hey, this is what this case is worth based on prior settlements from 25 years ago. And then they're just keep trying to peg it lower and lower. And it's funny, the more they do that, the more they complain that people become more like fraudulent or exaggerated with the treatment that they get. They meet them with
the same behavior.
And I'm like, yeah, exactly. If you would just pay the claim what it's worth, people wouldn't have to pump up these ridiculous numbers on settlements of the bills.
That's the whole legislation, right? Like 2023, as soon as you guys eliminate this, you're going to see everything is going to get down. It didn't happen in homeowners. It didn't happen in PIP. None of the prices for homeowners for car insurance went down.
Right. They've gone up since then. And then that's when they change their story. They go, oh, but cars are like computers now. They're more expensive. And I'm like, 2 years ago, they weren't more expensive than they are now.
Not hundreds and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
That's not.
Then they blamed the tariffs. They said, oh, Donald Trump with the tariffs and the thing, car insurance has to be more because cars are going to be more. I'm like, price of cars did not go up 25% at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Half of the auto insurance is for cars that are like, let's say 5 years or older.
Right.
Those parts are sitting in a junkyard somewhere. They're not buying these parts and shipping them from Germany.
Yeah.
So it's total BS. It's just meant to obfuscate so they could charge more money. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally crazy. Let me see. What's your craziest case where you were just like, I need to get away from this case. Something's really weird here. Like, I just need to remove myself from this case. Have you ever had to withdraw on a crazy case?
I'm trying to think. Luckily, I don't think that's happened. You can tell sometimes when clients call, things are fishy from the get-go. I would say I never got so deep as to litigate. I do remember one case I heard about. I was not a part of this, thank goodness. They had talked about damage. This is going back to homeowners insurance. They talked about damage to the roof, and I think it might have been people's trust. They tested. Did you ever hear about this case? They cut the roof, cut the ceiling, and they tested it, and it was Coca-Cola. And they were saying it was mold. So they shook up the Coke, put it in the air, and then I don't know why the adjuster was like, this is fishy.
Oh,
but he
it
cut out
wasn't
the
mold,
ceiling.
it was Coca-Cola.
Correct.
Oh,
yeah, it was
okay.
completely a setup. It had no interior damage,
Okay.
therefore no roof damage.
Okay.
Later on they found out. But yeah, they shook up. So I think about those cases. Luckily, I've never had a case like that. I do have a couple cases where when you're listening to the intake and you're like, it's not quite adding up, but luckily we don't litigate them to that point where you're, eve of trial and you're like, wait, it's not adding up. That would be a nightmare.
You just reminded me. I had a case. I was a brand new attorney. I didn't know what I was doing, and some guy called me. He's like, hey, I had damage to my home, to my tiles. I had a pipe broke, so they had to take out one tile. So the insurance company agreed to pay me for all my tiles brand new.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And he's like, so I'd sent a demand letter. I sent him some photos of the pipe break, and they paid him for all those tiles.
Wow.
And then 6 months later, he calls me again, and he's like, you're never going to believe this. Another pipe broke in my house. I need you to help me get the tiles fixed. So I was like, all right. And so he sends me a photo, and it's the same tiles as before. He's never changed the tiles. He bought the tiles and kept them in storage. I don't know. He got the money. He never fixed it. I don't know. And so I'm like, well, that's weird. Those look the same. And I was like, hey. And he's like, no. I got all new tiles are all there, whatever. So I said, this is insurance fraud if this goes through.
Right.
And he goes, no, trust me. I swear to you, those are the tiles, whatever. I was like, all right, I'll take your word for it, but this is suspicious. And you're going to have a problem on you. I said, I'm not getting involved in anything. And sure enough, the insurance company, I called them and they said, no, we're not paying that claim because it's fraud.
Yeah.
This story with the tiles. And I was like, I called them back. I said, look, I don't want anything to do with this case. But it's funny because that guy probably had a fraudulent claim and got paid.
Yeah.
And then it's like a person who has a valid claim. Like one of my employees had a hole in their roof after Hurricane Ian. And the guy, every time it rained, he'd be calling me. He's like, hey, what am I going to do, man? I said, I'm so sorry, dude. You have this bad insurance company. They don't want to pay. And they didn't want to pay him a dollar to fix his home. It's crazy.
Right.
So it's really weird. I wish they had like a way to review insurance companies, kind of like Google reviews, but more real, not like I hate this company, but here's why.
Yeah.
To show payouts or something, because some companies pay really well. I forget, you probably remember, but like, I would say Geico, right, for BI, they pay really well. They pay right
PIP,
away.
I find that they're one of the better ones for PIP, too.
They pay right away. I think they've been sued on bad faith claims so much, Geico, that they've had a couple big bad faith claims where they just tender on the 1020s and the 25s. They just pay out.
I would say one of the better insurances too on both ends. But you don't see them down here that much. USAA, they're always
they're reasonable.
Yeah, that's the way I would describe them.
Yeah.
They're never gonna, you want $1 million, here you go.
Yeah.
But they're willing to talk to you. They're willing to listen. They're never gonna be jerks. And it makes sense, right? If they're representing veterans, they're not trying to screw over veterans. At least that's the idea.
I mean, they could. I mean,
they could.
Geico is. Do you know what it stands for? Geico.
Government employee insurance company.
It was an insurance company for government employees. Now they sell to anybody. But when I found that out, I was an attorney for 10 years. I had probably filed thousands of PIP suits against them, and I said, holy shit, this was an insurance company for government employees?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. I don't think most people know that. Yeah.
I was like, what?
And then they were just like, we're gonna.
Yeah, I guess Warren Buffett bought him and said, hey, just sell. He wanted to sell more policies. He didn't care about like USAA. They just want to do veterans, and now it's like veterans and their families, and if you know a veteran or something, like your
neighbor's a veteran.
I wanted to go in the military. Can I get it?
Thought about it.
I think they have good prices. I think they have good rates.
So I looked them up. Speaking poorly of those people, my in-laws are second generation World War II vets.
Oh, cool.
So, my husband's grandfather was a World War II vet, and their Miami prices are like horrible. And I remember looking them up for homeowners insurance, and I asked a couple insurance agents, can you get me USAA? And they were like, they don't work with us. So I think that's the only reason they're able to kind of give you some reasonable rates, but not for car insurance. Yeah, not for car insurance.
You should call USAA and check them out and be like, hey.
I think they vet you. Like, off the bat, they need to make sure that you're a veteran or 2 generations down.
Just be like, yes, sir. No, sir. yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Like just talk like that. They'll think, oh,
Echo,
they're good. We're not even
Roma,
ask.
yeah.
Yeah. How do you spell your name? You're like Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel, Indigo.
Yeah.
Kilo,
Perfect.
Lima. I can't remember. I remember the phonetic alphabet like that. That's cool. So 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where do you see your practice? Where do you see your law firm?
Yeah.
What kind of cases are you thinking you're going to handle?
So I think it might be a little different than you would say from other people. I do want to scale, but to an extent. I think if you talk to a lot of brand new, they just open up their law firm, they're hoping to have 50 employees. They're hoping to be the next Abe, and and I think that's not my goal. My goal is if I can consistently help 25, 50 cases for the next few years and make sure that I still remember. I've worked at so many firms that I had 500 to 700 cases pre-suit and some litigation. And there's no way for you to keep up with the client there. There's no way for you to remember their name. And it really kind of, you miss, it feels like you miss the point of why you're doing this. So I think if I can, yes, scale to an extent to handle larger cases like premise liability and to have the backing of doing that, but at the same time stay small so I can kind of remember why I started it is really where I want to end up. I don't know if my husband's an attorney too, so I always say I would never hire him. Maybe to hire him. He does completely different area of law and he hears me. He does defense, so he hears like clients. The clients he speaks with are professional entities, so they're a little bit more serious than I'm here like screaming in Spanish to my clients, and so he's like, I don't know if I could do that. Or just talking to my clients and they're talking at me, and he's not Cuban, so I'm Cuban and I'm yelling in Cuban. That's just how we talk, and that whole thing going back and forth, and he'll finish the call and he's like, what happened? And I was like, oh, everything went well. And he has like no idea. And
Were you yelling in Cuban or just talking? Because I feel like
just talking
is already high enough.
Right.
Yelling is like really loud.
No, I try not to yell at my clients.
Okay.
But sometimes
I got you. It's like Italians. It's like the same concept for people.
Yeah. So a lot of
I'm not yelling. I'm not angry. I'm just Italian, like that kind of.
I'm just talking. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that would be the goal, is to get to a point where I still am able to handle a smaller scale and continue giving them like really specialized attention and service, but also, just scaling it up and moving on and doing cases where not feeling limited by any cases or anything like that. I can handle any cases, I think would be the goal.
Do you feel like you prefer litigation over pre-suit, or you're just focused on whatever that client needs? If it needs to be litigated, we'll litigate it. Or do you want to focus on litigation? Because there's some firms that they say, hey, send me the hard cases. I want the litigation cases. Is that where's your mindset with that?
Honestly, I think it depends on the client, because there's some cases where, I'm going to be honest, maybe they're not great cases, but the clients are good people. And you're like, damn, I'm going to litigate this case.
Okay.
And it is a toss-up. Maybe it'll end up great for the client. Maybe, whatever the outcome may be. But it's if you feel passionate about it, I feel like I'm able to work on the file. But yeah. I mean, I've litigated for many years, so that's not necessarily a fear or anything of mine. But there are cases that sometimes you look at and you start at a firm or something and you're like, why is this in litigation? Why are we here?
Yeah. So
I don't want to lose sight of that. I think there's some cases that you get great. If you're able to get that $1 million tender pre-suit, what is there to do?
Yeah.
So I think it just depends on the client. If you really feel like this is, sometimes the client may want 100,000, but if you're able to get 95,000, are you really going to litigate? And that's their decision. I always tell them, I'm getting paid no matter what you do. But if that's something you want to do and you really want to keep fighting it, and sometimes I find oftentimes that the clients like go a little further, and then I will do that, and I'm able to impress them, but also like more than I anticipate. I'm glad for that push, because I do feel like it helps the case outcome ultimately. But yeah, so I think it depends on the case. It depends on the client, I would say, more than anything. If it's a good person, you just want to do right by them, and you're like, okay, I get it. It's a little fishy on who was at fault, but damn, your injuries are bad. Damn, your car is bad. You're saying he took the light. We're going to figure this out.
I hate those cases that the damages are so big and it turns out that they're at fault. It's like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
it wasn't intentional. It was just things happened, whatever.
Yeah.
They weren't texting and driving. They just ended up being at fault in that situation. Maybe they're having a tough day and they were focused on something. And
I think the most heartbreaking ones too are when it is like their family car, and maybe it's an old crappy car, but that's their only car, and then they don't have collision, and it was their fault, and you're just like, but they're like, but I don't have $3,000 to buy a car, and you're like, I don't know what to tell you. Your insurance agent sucks.
I just had that happen with it's not Uber Eats, it's the other food app.
Grubhub?
DoorDash? Grubhub? It was Grubhub maybe, or DoorDash, one of those two, and there's no collision.
Yeah.
So the guy uses his card to work for this company, DoorDash, Grubhub, whatever, and he's driving the car, delivering a $10 McDonald's, and the guy who hit him didn't have insurance, didn't pay for insurance, whatever.
Yeah.
So he ended up losing his car, his way of making money, and it wasn't an expensive car, but they were like, hey, we don't insure this. You're at your own. That's why you are independent.
Yeah.
Nothing you could
But
do
there's
for
no,
that guy.
yeah, there's no, realistically, if you went to an insurance agent and told them that, there's no coverage that's going to exist for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like Uber's doing similar stuff with their legislation. I feel like we're little by little, they're saying we're always going to be there for our drivers, but that's not the reality, right? Like with the new $50,000 policy limits and stuff like that, that doesn't help any. It's a catastrophic injury, people die, but you didn't have the app pressed, you didn't have the person in your car, somehow that affects the other person that you killed. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, they're pushing lobbyists to get these laws to lower their cost of insurance, because they're saying, oh, we could offer cheaper rates if we spend less money on insurance. And it's like, well, shouldn't you be making the roads safer? You put all these crazy bad drivers on the road. They're causing all sorts of accidents, keeping us in business, but hurting people. And then now you don't want to pay. And I remember when Uber first came out, they used this company called St. James River.
Yes. I remember seeing them.
They threw money at any car accident. They were like, you're hurt? Your neck hurts. How much can we pay you? And I'm just like,
take notes,
I'll
insurance
take
companies.
200,000. They're like, how if we gave you 190,000?
Yeah, we're not going anymore.
I'm like, yes, I'd take that. It was like
candid camera.
They just gave out. Yeah, I was like, am I on a Truman Show or something?
Yeah,
and then they switched them with, I don't know, Progressive or somebody, right? And now it's just cheap on everything. It's crazy. So really frustrating. But yeah, I think Uber is the number one purchaser of insurance in the world, because every time there's a ride, it's a policy for them.
Right.
And so they're a huge consumer, and they're just pushing to save money for themselves, not make it safer for their passengers or people that their drivers hit. It's crazy.
And if they're using Progressive, that's what gives me the issue then. If you're using Progressive, then so Progressive is doing quite well. So why are they lowballing all these cases? Because oftentimes, I've spoken to a couple of these Progressive adjusters, and I was like, why are you making me file suit? You know that the moment you file suit, you're going to tender. So why are we doing this song and dance? And they're just like, I just don't have the funds. Like, they don't give it to me. It's not a me thing. It gets triggered once you file suit. And it's just like, okay, so I have to waste everyone's time here. Okay.
The courthouse too.
Right.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. The filing, like everything.
You had spoken about this on one of your reels, right? Like, what is Uber and Lyft doing to make the ride safer?
For
their clients, and I think that's very.
Have you had any sex abuse cases with Uber or Lyft or anything like that?
I was actually reading about them yesterday. Maybe. I'm trying to think if it was something I saw that you had posted or if it was something. I think I was reading an article about it. I haven't had any of those cases, but it's insane. And I when you get into an Uber, sometimes you see these cameras, sometimes you don't, and it's like, well, there's no, even with the dash cameras, like there's so little policies or regulations made to be these Uber drivers. I can't tell you how many cases I've had where the Uber driver was not the driver. So like if you're my cousin, but I for whatever reason I got banned on Uber, I'm going to use your account.
Or you don't have a driver's license.
Right.
And you're like, I'll just drive for Uber though.
Yeah. So I've called Progressive and said, look, I have this case, and they're like, we don't have that guy, or we don't have that car. Like, I don't know what to do. And it's like, but it was your client. So, having to litigate over this mess of a case. And it's like, you need to figure it out, because you're insuring that account, whether it's the vehicle or the person. But yeah, it's becoming a bigger issue, and there has to be some more further regulation. But it's what you're saying. If the lobbyists are going in the other direction, it's really hard.
It's crazy. Our politicians are so cheap. And it's funny, in the state of Florida, you can get a politician to introduce a bill for you for 20 grand. You're just like, hey, I want you to introduce this bill. Here's 20 grand. Can you do it? Are you going to get votes? You got to throw everybody money. Yeah. They got to like it too, or feel good about it, or whatever. But like, that's crazy. You know, like, you can impact the entire state of Florida with 20 grand. It's sickening. We've had in Colombia employees get into an Uber to go to work and then get raped on the way to work at 8 a.m. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell? And I'm like, it was an Uber driver? And they're like, yeah, it was Uber. It wasn't, a taxi or nothing. It was Uber.
Something sketchy, yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, what? And that's why now they have that button. I don't know if it's international, but there's a button that you could push, say, hey, come help me. This is weird. They'll track you. But to do a background check on every driver would probably cost them more money than they would want.
Sued.
So they're like, hey, just sue us if the guy's a predator or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's a cost benefit analysis for them.
Yeah, they're probably running that cost benefit.
We'll pay $1 million once versus paying everyone.
How many people get assaulted but don't report it?
Right.
And they just move on with their life or whatever, and they leave as a customer. Fine. They're willing to take that. My daughter, after this whole Roblox stuff came out about like predators on Roblox, they asked my daughter, she had to get the camera, hold it in front of her, and go like this, and it recorded her face to make sure it wasn't AI. And, they could do that for Uber drivers right away.
Something simple.
Every day that you want to get in the car, you got to do that. It can't be that hard, and they can do facial recognition and make sure it's whoever's on the license.
Right.
Because
HR regulations is what you're aiming at, right?
Like keep predators out of Uber cars and make sure whoever's driving the car is the person who has that Uber app open. Because let's say somebody was a rapist and they're like, listen, man, I can't get a regular job. Everybody finds out I'm a rapist. They don't want to hire me. Can I go under your Uber account? Hey, bro, can you set me up an Uber and I'll just drive? I swear I won't rape anybody. And the next thing you know, this guy's driving a car, drunk girl in the back seat. He's taking her home, and he's like, damn, this is going to be an easy target, Right. So that's the kind of thing. Funny story. I don't drink anymore, but first time I got in an Uber, I had just downloaded. I said, hey, I'm going to, somebody dropped me off at the bar. We were having an event or whatever. And I went and I said, hey, I'm going to Uber home. And I was so drunk, and I got in the Uber. And I'm like, bro, this guy's looking sketchy as hell. He was just a normal looking dude, but I'm like, bro, I pretended to be on the phone the whole time. It was so weird. I don't know if you guys remember your first time getting in an Uber, but I was like, this is mad sketchy. I don't know this guy. He's picking me up, this guy. And I was looking the whole time like, yo, this guy's going the right way, right? Like I put my Waze on. I'm like, and I'm a big dude. Like he was not going to touch me, but I was so drunk, I thought I might get robbed or something, And my wife refuses to get in an Uber. She's like, I said, babe, can I just Uber you? She goes, you better pick me up. She's like, you need to get over. I'm your wife. You're going to let some other person, stranger, drive me in a car? And I was like, oh, my God. I'm like, you're an hour away. She's like, pick me up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she does not want to get in an Uber. And honestly, I feel like Uber's missing an opportunity to showcase, there's a lot of people that would get in an Uber if they felt more safe.
Yeah, and I think I don't know the behind the scenes of it, but I know clinics will use Ubers. My grandma's a part of a little clinica in Miami, and they use Uber to pick her up. So they definitely are beyond me just ordering something on an app. They're kind of exploding. So they're getting, or they have, but so the income is there. I think that some further regulation is something that really needs to happen.
Yeah.
Now there's Uber medical rides, right? What is that called? It's not a regular Uber. It's they
but it might be for I know the MRI center we use Uber Business, but I think they have a medical one. But I think there was a case, this surgeon got sued in Broward or Palm Beach. Mm-hmm. He did a multi-level cervical fusion on a guy, and the guy, he got him an Uber after the surgery for him and his wife.
That's what the medical means. Okay.
And the guy got in an Uber, And when they arrived at the house, the guy was dead. The wife looks over and realizes he's dead. He just had a neck surgery and his head was up against the window or whatever. You know, you're like heavily medicated after a neck surgery.
Yeah.
And he got sued and they're like, why would you order him an Uber? And imagine getting transported by an Uber driver and you get an accident or something right after surgery. So normally they do have medical transports for like ambulance and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't know the specifics of that, how that works, because I'm sure there's like a wheelchair one or there's probably more specific things. But
it's called Uber Health offers the HIPAA-enabled non-emergency medical transportation.
Non-emergency medical,
NEMT, that allows healthcare providers to schedule rides for patients through a centralized dashboard.
That sounds a little scary because it's probably anyone could be Uber medical.
Yeah, it's probably more HIPAA is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Like, so the patient's name, what if they're going to an AIDS clinic and they're a patient and it says like John Smith and you're like, oh, damn, I just dropped them off at an AIDS clinic. Maybe that's what it is. People take HIPAA to the next level. It's like, no one cares that you're going to a chiropractor, bro. Like, that is not, first of all, chiropractors do not respect HIPAA at all. They're like, oh my gosh. Mike Tyson was in my office. They take photos. They post it all over social media. Dr. Loria, the penile implant guy. I don't see any photos with faces in them. The guy, right? I mean, he respects HIPAA, but it's like, oh, I'm getting an MRI. Who cares? What are you gonna look cares. At? Yeah. So, what's in an MRI image that's so embarrassing for most people? So. It's like, oh my gosh, did you see my herniated disc? I'm so embarrassed. Yeah,
I don't.
So law school, what would you say to yourself when you were in law school, knowing what you know now? What would you tell your law school self?
I've heard you ask this question and everyone always has such positive things to say, reach for the stars sort of thing. I would say it's that, can I curse?
You can curse. Is it in English or Spanish?
English.
Okay.
I would say it's nobody has any fucking idea what they're doing either.
Okay.
Like, I think, I was listening and it was such motivational things. And I was like, no, it's that I think it's so common that you're so terrified that you're going to screw up a case or screw up a person's life or all these things. And that everyone else has it figured out. Even like I remember looking at these defense firms and you'd say top 40, under 40 and all these amazing magnitudes. And then you realize you had to pay for those or whatever it is. And it's just that everyone is learning just as you did. It's nobody has more information than you did. You had the qualifications to get here. Mm-hmm. You're gonna be fine. And I think I don't know why it is that way that so many people like put this front of oh, I'm fine with doing complaints, and it's like, well, you've never done a complaint or you know whatever the case is. I think you have a lot of insecurity about that, but when you first graduate, but everyone does. They're just hiding it better than you think they are.
For sure. Yeah. I think there's still, I was just talking to my buddy yesterday, Mac. He's a really smart, brilliant attorney. And I was like, dude, up until a few years ago, I felt like a total fake, phony imposter.
Yeah.
As a lawyer, I hate going to court. I loathe court. I loathe judges. I think a lot of judges became judges because they couldn't make it in practice or they just said, damn, I'm going to make $200K a year as a judge.
And I get 30 days of vacation.
Yeah, I get vacation. I'm this, I'm that. I'm a judge. It's prestigious. Well, 200K is a lot when you're, not making 200K, but once you're making 200K or you're doing this or doing that, you're making a lot more. So, and it's like they want the pension, whatever, that's fine. I used to want to be a judge. And then when I met judges and I started like working, I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys are terrible. They don't know anything.
I think it sounds horrible. I think the pressure of having to know so many areas of law is really daunting. But I mean, well, the reality is then you get judges who just don't know the area of law that you're doing.
Yeah.
Or just, I think small claims can be one of the worst ones because nobody's going to appeal the small claims.
That's true.
So I've had judges tell me like, I get that that's the law.
The pro se stuff. Yeah. Yeah,
let's
or they help them out way too much.
Yeah, and you're like...
Yeah, I remember with PIP suits, I would go to the small claims PIP suits, and I would sometimes there'd be this one company, they would buy debt, and then they would sue people for not paying the credit card bills as this new owner of the debt.
Yeah.
And half the people wouldn't show up, so they would get a judgment against them. And there'd always be one person who'd show up and be like, I shouldn't have to pay this bill because, whatever. And I'm just like, just tell the judge that they didn't show that you signed the thing, you know? And they're like, they didn't give me any proof that I signed the thing or that, you know? And the guy's like, and the judge is like, all right, we're going to have a hearing on that because he's basically saying that this is not his debt. So what evidence do you have that he took out these payments, you know? Mm-hmm. And when they buy the debt, they don't get all the paperwork back then anyways. Nowadays, I'm sure everything's so digital and whatever, but so they have to prove their case. Just because it's, you know, a $3,000 credit card bill doesn't mean that they automatically win. So, but judges would give them a lot of leeway if they knew what they were saying, and they wouldn't say it sometimes. So yeah. So I agree with you. I was talking to my buddy Mac. I said, dude, I hate being a lawyer. I like managing. I like doing the business part of law. I like helping people, which it sounds like you love doing. Yeah. I like that. It's given me the opportunity to grow in this world, and I love that. But going to court is not something that I enjoy. There's other attorneys that do that much better than me here, and they can do that. And I'll do the other stuff that's involved. And so I commend you for liking litigation because I hate litigation.
And there's a lot of like sociopaths who I feel like love litigation. The people who like they feed off of it. I think the passion is what drives me to litigate well. But if it was just, I don't know that I could do it if I was representing like a huge company and it's only millions for them or something like that. But there's some litigators that you meet that you're like, they're like fiending for
they
trials.
Love fighting over stuff.
They take everything personal and
imagine PIP litigation over $300 and another lawyer just like destroying their whole like time and energy into I'm like, bro, at the end of the day, your client's gonna pay me the $300 plus the attorney's fees.
Right.
Can we just settle this like gentlemen? Like, why are we yelling at each other over $300?
Yeah, you're going to bill more than the bill.
Yeah.
like in doing this.
Just give me the money, man. Why are you doing this? And they're like, oh, yeah. I'm like.
I imagine a lot of those insurance companies, when they did the PIP analysis, it was worth them to fight it. That's the only thing I can think of because I don't see how it's worth it. I don't see how the moment you sue that they're just not like, here's $5,000, please leave me alone. Like just on every single case. Here's $10,000. Go away. Instead of me paying a firm that $10,000 plus ultimately we're going to pay you.
Yeah. So there's one company that when you sue them, even if they don't owe money, Abe, here's a bunch of money to take this and go away. And I'll be like, you're going to pay me that much money? And they're like, yeah, we'll pay you this much money. Okay, that's all we got. And I'm like, all right, I'll do you a favor on this one. And so we sue them more often because company? I can't.
We can edit this out.
Geico.
Oh, I know. They're good people.
They just throw money at you. And I'm just like, bro, what are you guys doing? And then the same, I'll have valid issues, like really, really strong valid cases against like, I don't know, State Farm.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're never going to pay you on this. USAA. You'll have a valid issue on a PIP suit, and they're like, we're taking this all the way to trial on every case.
Really?
Yeah. And they pull out every stop, like motion to dismiss, 57105, motion for summary judgment. Like you're like, what happened here? What is it $300 we're fighting over? Yeah. And they go nuts.
Allstate too is very litigious.
Allstate. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I had sued them probably 1,000 times over this one issue. There was in one of the district courts of appeals came out saying, hey, Allstate was supposed to pay more money.
Right.
So I filed probably like 1,000 lawsuits, and I thought I was going to retire on this case. And I had a really good opposing counsel who was very nice. Super nice. Gladys. Very respectful, nice attorney.
Sounds like a nice person.
Super nice. Cuban, Miami, all the way.
Gladys.
Yes. Ya tú sabes. And it was so nice to have opposing counsel. And she's like, listen, you're going to get these judgments, but, we can, if we win in the Supreme Court, you could end up paying a lot of money. And I was like, no, this is my retirement plan. And sure enough, the Supreme Court came out against us. And I was like, Gladys, how are you? I hope, this ruling is like, and she was very gracious and very nice about the whole thing and was like, look, we're going to let you get out. But this other guy who was an absolute terror and, when they got the judgment, asked for a bond to be posted on thousands of cases. It's like, and they had to pay to post these bond stuff. She's like, they're going to pay. Yeah. They're going to have to pay. And they did. They made them pay. And I was like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
So that's where just being a nice person to opposing counsel kind of pays off in the end.
Yeah.
Down the road.
That happens to me a lot in litigation as far, when I litigate, because I have I'm fortunate enough that it's not a lot of cases. I'm not drowning. I really do take the time of dissecting it. So for example, you file an answer and affirmative defenses. You have 27 answer and affirmative defenses. You better believe I'm going to move to strike at least one of them because some of them probably have nothing to do with this case.
Yeah.
And then they get mad and they're like, well, why are you bothering me about this? You have this motion. Like, obviously, some of them are redundant. Some of them, there's 27. So, and it's like, look, I'm easy to work with, but you have to treat this case seriously. I'm not, you giving me boilerplate 27 affirmative defenses isn't going to do anything. It's just for your billing purposes, which I can respect, but it's not going to work here. Yeah. And I think it makes such a difference of, I think I remember one time I spoke to this attorney. He called me yelling at me, saying I was committing fraud, all these things. And I quickly was like, whoa, we're not having an unprofessional conversation. And he calmed down. As soon as I don't know if it's because the professional word.
I'm going to use that.
I was like, whoa, I'm not sure when we made this an unprofessional conversation that you're coming. Like, I've never spoken to you before and you're telling me this is fraudulent. And I think he got mad. Now that I think about it, I think he got mad because the client was one of our attorney's parent. So we were very taking this case seriously because he had gotten injured. And I think maybe he took that as us being just needlessly aggressive, but it was like, no, this is a family member here. Mm-hmm. And, it really does set the tone if you're just a nice person within reason, too, because I think there's some people that are really nice, but they don't really work their case up or they don't really like some opposing counsels that are like, yeah, you want an extension? I didn't even start working on my part yet. And you're like, no, that's not what I meant. So I think if you find the right balance of it, which I think is difficult to do, honestly, between being that sort of zealous advocate we're taught and also you're dealing with a human being at the end of the day. Maybe they're a jerk, but they're still a human being. They still have family.
And you're going to have to work with them on the next case probably. Yeah, but listen, on that motion to strike, that's bullshit because if you file a motion to strike on each one of their thing, they get all this extra billing. So they should be kissing your ass.
I'm trying to do you a favor.
They should be kissing your ass and be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much,
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I get mad because then they're getting mad at you and you're like, you're the one giving me bogus bullshit work. Yeah. So why are you getting mad that I'm calling you out on it?
Yeah.
I do that a lot, actually. I think that's always a really good. It sets the tone of like, I'm gonna do actually work this file. Just just this. I know you have 700 cases, 1,000 cases, but this one you're actually gonna have to pay attention to. You might as well just settle with me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I love it. On that note, we're gonna end. Let's do it. Let's go.
Awesome.
So, look at that camera.
I'm Beatriz Reardon. I'm the Florida accident attorney. You can call me at 305-537-7000 and all social media, the Florida accident attorney.
Love it. That's perfect. One shot.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
I had a great time.
Thank you for having me. Good conversation.
Yeah.
I was like